Senator Hope Uzodinma remains Imo State Governor as Supreme Court today refused to reverse itself on its earlier verdict which sacked Mr. Emeka Ihedioha of the PDP. And the members of the House of Representatives today decided that they will stay at home for 2 weeks because of coronavirus. The lawmakers made a decision to suspend plenary because of what they say is the porous nature of the National Assembly. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. Apologies for the earlier glitch on the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimale. What a day it has been. The wait is over now in Imo State as the Apex Court has finally laid to rest the matter involving Mr. Emeka Ihedioha and the PDP and the Senator Hope Uzodinma of the APC, who they say is to stay as governor. We'll be hearing from the governor tonight on the program. But first, let's tell you about what coronavirus is doing to governance in Nigeria. Nigerian lawmakers in the House of Representatives will be at home for 2 weeks. The lawmakers passed a resolution to suspend plenary for 2 weeks to enable the National Assembly management put measures in place against the coronavirus. This resolution follows a motion of urgent public importance by Representatives Uche Onyeagocha on the need for immediate action to prevent any new cases of the virus. No date for resumption from the suspension has been set yet. The lawmakers are worried that the porous nature of the National Assembly puts it at great risk of the virus.
I think, Mr. Speaker, in good wisdom, that this House should suspend plenary for a period of 2 weeks or thereabout, for the purpose of certifying everybody and also allowing management to put measures in place so that all of us can be tested.
Indeed. Wow. Let's now check out some other political stories that were falling for you on our political roundup.
The House of Representatives has passed a resolution to suspend plenary for 2 weeks to enable the National Assembly management put measures in place against the coronavirus. This resolution follows a motion of urgent public importance by Representative Onyeagocha on the need for immediate action to prevent any new cases of the virus. No date for resumption from the suspension has been set yet. The lawmakers are worried that the porous nature of the National Assembly puts it at great risk of the virus. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC Ilorin Zonal Office, has presented another check of 263,327,800 naira to Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak of Kwara State as part of the state's looted money recovered from the alleged corrupt officers in the state. The money, according to the zonal coordinator of the anti-graft agency, is from suspected Kwara State Treasury looters. The agency, he added, is working to help sanitize the state civil service as they are keeping track on activities of political office holders. The Bayelsa state government says it's ready to collaborate with the organized labor in the state to ensure a smooth sale of activities in the administration. That is the commitment the governor gave to the workers' leaders during a meeting with them at the government house in Yenagoa. According to him, the collaboration between both parties will enable his government to address all issues of wages, salary arrears, minimum wage, amongst others. The Cross River State Governor, Professor Ben Ayade, has sworn Justice Maurice Eneji as the new acting Chief Judge of the state. This is followed by the non-confirmation of Justice Akon Ikweme as the Chief Judge by the State House of Assembly, after the expiration of a 3-month capacity following the retirement of the immediate past Chief Judge. Speaking shortly after the swearing at the Exco Chambers, Governor's Office, the Governor disclosed that the decision of the non-confirmation, according to the State House of Assembly, is based on justice, fairness, and equity. Governor Gboyega Oyetola of Osun State has reversed the decision of his predecessor, Rauf Aregbesola, especially those of education. The government says it's abolished the use of single uniform for schools in the state and has also returned its education system to 63334. The decision was made known to journalists by the Commissioner of Information after the State Executive Council meeting at the Governor's office in Osogbo, Osun State capital.
Well, now, Let's get set and get right into it on our major conversation for tonight. It's about Imo State and what has transpired today at the Supreme Court. Well, the Supreme Court has dismissed an application by former Imo State Governor Mr. Emeka Ihedioha asking the Apex Court to set aside his January the 14th judgment that sacked him as the governor of Imo State. Justice Oluka Ariwola, who delivered the judgment, says there is no constitutional provision empowering the Apex Court to sit on an appeal over his own judgment, and that the court does not have the competence to review its own judgment. According to Justice Ariwola, the finality of the Supreme Court is entrenched in the Constitution, so the inherent powers of the court does not allow it to review or set aside its own judgment. The justices of the Supreme Court ruled 6-1 in dismissing the appeal, with Justice Chima Nweze the only dissenting voice. Justice Nweze insists that the court has the power to overrule itself if such a judgment is not seen to have met the justice of the case. He asks that Mr. Uzodinma misled the court in arriving at a judgment, and that there is no evidence that is satisfied the required spread to have been declared a winner of the election.
The expectations and the mandate of our people. It will give glory to God that at the end of the day, truth came out. And we commend the wisdom of the Supreme Court in standing by the truth. We dedicate the victory to Almighty God, and it is my hope that God will give me the wherewithal, the wisdom and knowledge to do that which He will take glory. Amen. So I invite all Imo citizens, sons and daughters, home and abroad, to come. Let us team up to take our state to the next level. Well, in this business, you must eschew the spirit of sportsmanship. It's not every time you win. It's also not every time you lose. When you win, you carry the losers along. When you lose, you follow those who won. So my advice to them is to come and bring the ideas. Let us team up, create a signage that will develop Imo State and bring succor to our people.
Let's get some reactions now to what has happened today at the Supreme Court. It does look there is a final verdict and everything is now laid to rest. Let's speak to Mr. Uche Onyeagocha. He's a former secretary to the state government in Imo State as a lawyer and a former member of the House of Representatives. He was SSG under former Governor Emeka Ihedioha. Thank you so much, Honorable Onyeagocha, for coming tonight. How is your principal, Mr. Emeka Ihedioha, receiving these judgment and the outcome? How does it come to him?
Well, he's receiving the outcome with philosophical calmness. I'm sure he does know that he was robbed. And he has said it clearly, this is not about Emeka Ihedioha. This is about democracy. This is about good governance. This is about allowing fraud to take over the democratic space in Nigeria.
But when, I mean, as a lawyer, you understand what it means when the Supreme Court speaks. It does mean one thing, that is law, because it serves as precedents in law. So it then means that everyone needs to abide by what the Supreme Court says, no matter whether or not you agree with it. So in this sense, what is Mr. Emeka Ihedioha doing going forward?
Of course, Mr. Ihedioha will accept the judgment. He has no choice. The truth remains that the Supreme Court is the final arbiter in this matter. But that doesn't mean that we are happy. And we do recognize that we now have in place a Supreme Court imposed governor in Imo State, not an elected governor. And we are also saying that we are very grateful to all the millions of people across the globe, lovers of democracy and good government, particularly those in Nigeria and Imo State who worked and prayed with us and worked hard to ensure that this injustice perpetrated against the people of Imo State did not stand. And I want to use this opportunity to also appeal to the people of faith who prayed across the country, across the world, and particularly in Imo State, that they should not allow the outcome of this unacceptable judgment to affect their faith. We must remain faithful to God, and we must continue to trust him in all times. He knows his reason and he has the purpose why this has happened. But we do accept that Hope Uzodinma is not an elected governor of Imo State. He is a Supreme Court imposed governor on Imo State, and that is what he will remain for the period he will be in office.
The governor, Hope Uzodinma, has stretched a hand of fellowship and is asking that you come together and work with his government. At least he has 4 years to do that. Is Mr. Emeka Ihedioha hoping or willing to work with Senator Uzodinma as a governor? Or your side of the divide, the PDP now, are you willing to work with Mr. Uzodinma? Are you willing to accept that offer of working with him?
In the first place, we wouldn't recognize him as the governor, irrespective of the judgment of the Supreme Court. So there is just no way we will accept to work with him. But if there are individuals within our rank and file who may feel the need to want to associate with him, they should feel free to do so. I take it for granted that he has his own programs and he has his own team, and he should feel free to call up his team and use his own programs to move the state forward. We're not going to be carrying out more protests. We're not going to be challenging the Supreme Court any further. But he should go ahead and show the people of Imo State what he has got to offer to them. Because there is just no way for the period he will remain as governor, irrespective of the pronouncement of the Supreme Court, that we will recognize him as an elected governor. He is an unelected governor of Imo State. He remains a Supreme Court imposed governor of Imo State.
Moment.
If you may look at it, notice.
Honorable Onyeagocha, apologies. Hold on for a moment. Let's brace up everyone for some of the breaking news coming right here on Channels Television. We're following for you, monitoring the situation as regarding coronavirus here in Nigeria. Here is an update, breaking news right here. We understand now that the Chinese national, earlier taken into quarantine by health officials in Lagos, has tested negative to the coronavirus. The Chinese national was accosted to the Murtala Muhammad International Airport after he was made to go through the mandatory screening. He was thereafter moved to the Lagos State Isolation Center, where he tested negative to the virus. The Lagos government says the Italian national, who is currently in isolation, remains the only positive case of COVID-19 in the country. Breaking news right here on Channels Television. The Chinese national, earlier taken into quarantine by health officials in Lagos, has tested negative to the coronavirus. We'll take a break, everyone. And when we come back, we'll talk more about Imo governorship judgment that has come out today. Plus, if you have some update for you on this issue of the coronavirus, we'll bring it to you right here. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Let's get back to the conversation. We told you earlier about the breaking news. We're following for you about the issues of coronavirus. We can tell you that the Chinese national, earlier taken into quarantine by health officials in Lagos, has tested negative to the coronavirus. We give you more on that right here on Channels Television, so stick with us. Let's get back to our Abuja studio, where Mr. Emeka Onyeagocha is a former secretary to the state government of Imo State under Emeka Ihedioha, a lawyer and a former member of the House of Representatives. He's been talking to us on the outcome of the governorship, Imo governorship judgment from the Supreme Court. Thank you so much, Mr. Onyeagocha, for your time tonight. But as it happens, you said earlier on that the judgment was not about Ihedioha or Uzodinma. You said that it's about the people of Imo State. Does it mean that you said that you're not looking to work, Mr. Emeka Ihedioha is not looking to work with Senator Hope Uzodinma? But as it stands right now, should he have anything to give as a matter of his own suggestions and contribution to the government of Imo State? Are you saying that he would not?
Of course, he has shown the Imo people what he could do in the period of 8 months while he was there. If the unelected governor, Hope Uzodinma, is interested, he should feel free to try to copy from whatever is able to lay hands on in the government house. The truth remains that we will not work with Hope Uzodinma, the unelected governor, and he should feel free to run the state as he understands. Because we know this is not about Imo, like I told you, it's about 2023. APC is determined to steal a state from the southeast so that they can now say they have made an inroad in the southeast, because it's all about the preparations towards 23. And we know all the players, because immediately after the election, APC was grossly demoralized and disappointed that they couldn't win any state in the southeast. So it was openly rumored, and now they have confirmed it through the Supreme Court, that they will steal a state or take a state from the southeast by force, by every means necessary, and that state was going to be Imo State, where they felt they already had an earlier presence. And that is what happened. So why would we want to cooperate with that kind of attitude? Because we have come this part before. This is about dictatorship, reigning, trying to reign supreme in the country. At any time any regime is about to fall, they start by exposing their excessive greed for material acquisition and excessive greed for political power acquisition. This is already being displayed at its highest level.
I mean, sorry, apologies to Botin, because you need to make some clarification here, so that we need to get what your message is really. Are you saying that you said you have accepted, or you're going to live with the Supreme Court judgment, but then you're saying that the APC has a master plan ahead of 2023? Give us a sense of what he means in that sense. Are you saying that the APC twisted the 5 Supreme Court or the 6 Supreme Court justices who sat today on the bench? Is that what you're saying?
I am not just saying that. I'm even adding that there were no 7 Supreme Court justices. They were all APC intimidated justices. Their judgment cannot stand any test of time. Their judgment cannot even stand any law school examination. All those Supreme Court justices should be ashamed of the judgment they passed. And in fact, we dare them by going to challenge them with a review. We expected that if they had the courage, like they displayed in Bayelsa, they should have imposed on us the kind of fine they imposed in Bayelsa. But it's because they have found that they are complicit in the earlier dubious judgment which they gave. That's why they couldn't impose on us any kind of fine like they did in the case of Bayelsa. That judgment is riddled with 1,000,001 errors. And to say that you cannot overrule yourself means that you do not recognize your role as judges, that you are there to implement justice, nothing more, nothing less.
I mean, it's interesting that you are a lawyer and you're speaking about the justices of the Supreme Court, perhaps some of the most senior and the finest justices that you have on the bench in Nigeria. Do you think that this is charitable in any sense?
Yes, I believe, and that is why I'm placing my wig and gown on the table to say that these justices lack integrity. If they have integrity of the slightest degree, they wouldn't have gone ahead to dismiss this application. They didn't even have courage to advert their mind to the submissions made by the counsel to Emeka Ihedioha. To simply throw your hands up in the air and say you don't have the power to review is like saying, like the law in Nigeria already has it clearly put, that no pregnant woman can be executed. What if the Supreme Court in error sentences a pregnant woman to death and then the woman is about to be executed and you suddenly realize that she's pregnant? Would you say, oh, the law doesn't allow me to review or overrule myself? The law says that nobody under the age of 17 who commits a criminal offense can be sentenced to death or executed. And if the Supreme Court in error gives a judgment to the effect that such a person who is under 17 when he committed a criminal offense should be executed, are you going to say because you're a final court, you're a Supreme Court, the Constitution does not allow you to overrule yourself? That is why you have the inherent power of the Supreme Court. And Justice Oputa and many other justices of repute in the past have said that we are humans. We're entitled to make mistakes. And when we do make mistakes, we have a right to overrule ourselves. And that even in such circumstance, it is better to correct the error than to preserve it. And to show you that these Supreme Court justices have done a great evil on the people of Imo State, I challenge them to allow this judgment to stand in the future.
let
them
me
not
let me
set it
quickly
aside like they
coming.
always do when they give this
We
kind
need
of
we need to
terrible
let our
judgment.
viewers know that we're being patient to see if the governor, whom we invited on the program, will still be able to join us in the few minutes that we have. He's been invited, and the commitment that he's going to be on the program. Hopefully, if he's able to join us before the end of the program, that will be fine, so that we can hear from him. If not, maybe on our lunchtime politics program, we might be able to get his view. But Mr. Onyeagocha, a lot of people who are hearing you say all of what you're saying tonight will be wondering that for a moment, there was a judgment of the Supreme Court which came in the favor of your party in Bayelsa State. On one hand, on the other hand, is the fact that many of your members in the PDP, lawmakers in the Imo State House of Assembly, have now moved to the APC, looking so much like they are ready to work with him. Why is it that? Is it only Mr. Emeka Ihedioha that is not willing to work with Senator Hope Uzodinma?
There are loads of people serving under Emeka Ihedioha and who worked with Emeka Ihedioha who are not interested in working with Hope Uzodinma. I am one, and all the commissioners who served under Emeka Ihedioha are not interested in working, or most of the advisors are not interested in working. We believe he should have his team, and we shouldn't struggle for the space. We should give him all the space to go and show the Imo State people what he really does have in stock. But we must look beyond that and get back to the real issues at stake. Why were the Supreme Court justices afraid of addressing the issues raised in the substantive argument of Emeka Ihedioha's case? Why were they playing the ostrich to hide their head under their armpit and say, hey, sorry, we can't overrule ourselves, when the law allows them as a court of justice at all times to do justice. Whatever it takes to do justice, the Supreme Court has a right to go ahead and take that step and do justice. And they have refused to do justice in this particular instance and rather chose to give a 419 judgment in Imo State.
Those are very strong words that you have used there tonight, Mr. Onyeagocha, despite my advice, as though I know you are a lawyer. But, well, you've said you've claimed those statements. But, look, these are some of the justices of the Supreme Court, the apex, the highest court in the land. Thank you so much. It's a fine place to leave it tonight. Thank you. We have confirmation that the governor, Senator Hope Uzodinma, will join us right here on the program, same time tomorrow. So we will hope to hear how he hopes to chart a new course for Imo State in the coming years. So before we go on the program tonight, let us also tell you about the breaking news that we've been talking about and we've been monitoring for you on Channels Television. We can tell you that the Chinese national, earlier taken into quarantine by health officials in Lagos, has tested negative to the coronavirus. The Chinese national was accosted to the Murtala Mohammed International Airport after he was made to go through the mandatory screening. He was thereafter moved to the Lagos State Isolation Center where he tested negative to the virus. The Lagos State government says the Italian national, who is currently in isolation, remains the only positive case of COVID-19 in the country. The breaking news, the Chinese national, earlier taken into quarantine by health officials in Lagos, has tested negative to the coronavirus. That's where we leave it tonight. Many thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm Uche Onyeagocha. Bye for now.